Hello, and welcome to GBH Amplifies, the Bay State Banner. I'm your host, Ronald Mitchell, publisher and editor of New England's Bay State Banner News. Welcome, everybody. We are here today in the GBH studios in the Newsfeed Cafe in the main branch of the Boston Public Library right here in Copley Square for our State of Black America Forum series. As we look towards the 250th anniversary of America's independence, we come together to celebrate Black-owned business and to talk about how Black businesses strengthen economies. We also want to talk about the challenges to creating sustainable businesses and how we build wealth within our communities. This comes as we face a myriad of challenges faced by Black entrepreneurship, and they are heightened by the impact of the current political climate. These challenges include generating business and community wealth, generating the opportunity for clientele, identifying loan opportunities, and basically creating a long-term sustainable business in the current climate. These challenges are also illustrated by the significant role family and community wealth plays in the creation of new businesses. Black businesses have been a saving grace for some in our communities in the late 19th and early 20th centuries. Many Black business districts around the country, known as Black Wall Streets, were created and helped to create community prosperity and began to provide a positive transition from post-slavery and the Jim Crow era to the hope of a truly free society. Until the success of these Black communities sparked violent white supremacist backlash in many cities, like the well-known Tulsa Race Massacre. The key to these business community successes was the fact that the Black dollar stayed in the community and fueled the community's prosperity and growth. Today, many Black communities throughout Massachusetts and throughout the country only have a limited number of Black-owned businesses within them. As a result, the Black dollar does not stay in those communities, but leaves quickly, unlike many other ethnic communities around the state and around the country, where those ethnic groups own a majority of businesses in those communities, and they recirculate their dollars within that community, which helps to fuel long-term wealth building and community prosperity. Today, we're going to talk to some of the most prominent Black business leaders in our community about these challenges and hopes for the future. Before we get started, I wanted to sincerely thank GBH in its role for creating and supporting the platforms for community voices here at the GBH studios in the Newsfeed Cafe. By opening these public spaces, GBH provides a trusted, visible forum for these discussions that helps to elevate voices that are often underrepresented and support ideas that contribute to long-term economic empowerment throughout our communities. So we're going to get started. I want to introduce our wonderful panel today. I'm going to start at my right with Colette Phillips. Thank you, Colette, for joining us. Colette is the president and CEO of Colette Phillips Communications. Colette has been a trailblazing leader in diversity, equity, and inclusion, the bad phrase DEI that we all know now, for over 40 years. And for more than 40 years, she has more than 40 years experience in the intersection of strategic communications, corporate culture transformation. As the founder of Colette Phillips Communications, she has led groundbreaking multicultural marketing initiatives, including the acclaimed All In Boston campaign. She is a visionary behind Get Connected, a pioneering cross-cultural networking initiative that ties C-suite executives and C-suite executives from multiple industries and ties them to our community. So thank you so much for being here.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Next up to my right is our legendary Marvin Gilmore.
Yeah.
Marvin is the president and co-founder of the Western Front LLC. Marvin is a celebrated entrepreneur, distinguished veteran, and civil rights activist. Marvin is the founder of the legendary Western Front musical venue, which hosted musical giants such as Bob Marley and other jazz, rock, and reggae superstars. Mm-hmm. Did you find that in the early 70s? But he spun, even in the 80s? When did you start? Western Front, even before that. Okay, even before that. We'll get into the details in a minute. Marvin went on, from after creating the Western Front, he went on to build one of the largest real estate empires in this state, owned by a person of color. and he is one of the most successful black business leaders in our state. And Marvin is a spry 101 years old. Thank you, Marvin, for being here.
You're welcome.
Next up on my left is Nicole Obey, President and CEO of Black Economic Council of Massachusetts, also known as BECMA. BECMA's goal and mission is to drive economic equity and prosperity for Massachusetts, to help Massachusetts achieve inclusive growth through advocacy, programming, strengthening partnerships that enable black-owned businesses and black communities to thrive. So thank you so much for being here. And our final guest is John Barrows, who is the interim director of the Mass Convention Center Authority. Barrows stepped into the role of the authority as interim director on January 14th with a vision to use this hefty quasi-public agency and the large $24.2 billion tourism sector that it helps to navigate to help expand opportunity, inclusion, and equity for Boston's black, brown, and other communities. So thank you so much for being here. So I'm going to start off with you, Nicole. I know that BECMA has been around for almost 7 years now, is it?
No,
10.
we just celebrated our 10 years.
10, yes, 10 years, yes, 10 years. And as one of the premier organizations that help to move and promote black business, how did BECMA come about in the beginning, and what are its goals?
Sure. BECMA was actually born in reaction to the 2015 Federal Reserve Bank of Boston Color Wealth Study. And it was that study that found that the median net worth of black Boston households at that time was $8 compared to white Boston households of $250,000. So several black business leaders came together to form this organization with the mission of building black wealth. And so we do that through our policies, our programs, and our convenings.
Wonderful. Well, thank you for that. So next up, I want to go over to you, Marvin, because your business was able to thrive for many, many decades, despite the challenges that many businesses have suffered from. So can you tell us how kind of the beginning inception of your business and how you were successful? What were the tools you used to be successful in obviously a tough business climate for a person of color?
Well, to be successful, one has to work hard. And through my life, I've been denied. When I went to buy a house, the clerk says, Mr. Gilmore, that's not enough. I started to get angry, and I started to think, how do you beat the white man and his money? So I thought about that, and I said, you know, sir, I'm going to own my own bank. He laughed. 2 years later, Bank of Commerce, Unity Bank and Trust became the first black bank in all of New England. So what I'm saying to you, you got to work at it and use what's up here, and don't take no for an answer.
Mm-hmm. Wonderful, wonderful. Next up, we're going to turn to you, John. As the Executive Director of the Mass Convention Center Authority, or Interim Executive Director of Mass Convention Center Authority, you stepped into the role as the second director since an independent investigation came out a little over a year ago that kind of shed a questionable light on the history of the Mass Convention Center Authority and its inclusiveness, or should we say a lack of inclusiveness, for vendors as well as employees of color. Why do you think it was important for you to take on this role at this time?
Well, I think it was important to take on the role because the call I got about the role from the governor was with a mandate to make sure we address that report, right? And so to come into the authority with a mandate to make sure we had a more diverse staff, to make sure we had a better supplier diversity program and set of outcomes, for me, it was a no-brainer. The mission of the authority is to generate more economic activity in the region. And as we do it, we need to make sure it's more inclusive. As we do it, we need to make sure the people that are participating in building wealth look like this panel, right? And so when the governor asked me to do that, she knew she had me right there, right? And so it's exciting to be in this role. It's exciting to be on a team that gets it. They understand what we're trying to do there. They understand the opportunities. And then to have facilities that are bursting at the seams. People want to come to Massachusetts. The convention business in Massachusetts is strong, is growing. So us being a part of it is critical. I want to call out some of the partners we have here, including the Bay State Banner, to make sure that we know what the opportunities are. BECMA and the work that they're doing to make sure that we have supplier diversity, partners that are strong. Colette making sure that that's right, to making sure that we're in there. And then Mr. Gilmore is always an inspiration, right, about how we do this work. So this is the kind of work we're trying to do, and we're trying to do with people like that are on this panel today.
Thank you, John. Thank you. So now I want to turn over to Colette Phillips, President and CEO of Colette Phillips Communications. Colette, you have been doing this work for over 40 years, promoting diversity, equity, and inclusion, and helping to build, I know you started when you were 5, helping to build black businesses, as well as the intersection of multicultural business partnerships. Talk to us about what you see as the biggest challenges in the black community for building black wealth and building black communities.
Thank you for asking that question, Ron. I started my company, as a matter of fact, in 1986. I was 29, and this is our 40th year.
Wonderful.
Proud to be the oldest black PR firm in the city. And I think the way in which we build black wealth is that we have to partner and work together with each other. Black GDP, if you want to call it that, is a $2.1 trillion market. We spend more money and combined wealth that is greater than the Canada, Mexico, and Sweden combined. If you took black economics out of the American economy, we would be the 5th largest country in the world in terms of our spending.
Economic power.
Economic power.
Wealth, yes.
So we have to, I'll give you an example of how you build black wealth. We were awarded under John's leadership as the economic chief with Mayor Walsh. At the time, it was the largest non-real estate contract that was awarded to a minority-owned company to do the all-inclusive Boston campaign. And I said, I have to walk my own talk, and therefore made it intentional and deliberate that I was going to work with primarily black and companies of color. It was initially a $2 million contract, and my first call was to Proverb, that's run by Darren Bascom, who is an African-American, Caribbean-American man, and the second was to Meet Boston. And I can tell you that 86% of the dollars spent from that campaign went through black and brown and Asian companies, because it was deliberate and intentional that is how we do it. And I was happy to say we had several of our companies were members of BECMA. So you have 3 people on here. And this is also, I want to call out Mr. Gilmore, because when his Western Front turned 25, he reached out to me as the PR firm to do his PR to elevate and amplify the celebration. And that's what we have to do. I have been in business for 40 years, and I'm sad to say that today I do not have one black client. And you have to ask, why? Why not? It's not that we are not competitive and incompetent. So you have to say, we have to learn, before we can go out and ask others to spend their money with us, we have to spend our money with ourselves. We have to support each other and do business with each other. That's how you build black wealth.
That's right.
That is a very good point. Thank you so much. I think we can all applaud that. Nicole, I want to come over to you, because BECMA's mission has been much of what Colette spoke about. Based on the current climate, what are the biggest challenges you feel our black businesses are facing to help shore themselves up, build wealth, and grow in this current climate?
Since I've had the privilege of leading BECMA, we've had the ability to support over 700 black-owned businesses directly across the Commonwealth in a myriad of ways, from building up their back office capabilities to helping them with contracting, and we've been pushing quite a bit in the climate space. And we also help on the policy front, which is much more broad. But one of the things that we hear consistently from our businesses is that their biggest challenge is around accessing adequate and affordable capital, and then also still need to move the needle on more inclusive procurement, because at the end of the day, that procurement is what's really going to drive their business growth, and they need the capital to fund that growth. And so that's really why BECMA, as we focus on developing and bringing black wealth, we focus on helping business owners in particular, because Dr. Andre Perry at the Brookings Institute says that black business owners who have employees beyond themselves are 10 times wealthier than their peers. And so as a small nonprofit organization, we feel that we can help to create more black employer-owned firms. And those business owners get wealthier, they hire black and brown people, those black and brown people spend money in the communities, and that helps to really circulate dollars.
And keeps
So
it in the community.
capital and contracts.
What are some of the tools that BECMA has employed to help provide capital or capital for those businesses and help growth? Because I know that for a lot of companies that apply and get opportunities to provide services for large corporations, often there is a upfront cost that you have to buy materials to create those products. So talk to us about some of the tools BECMA employs to help those companies.
So we have a couple of different tools. One is, to your point, we give grants. We try to give grants to businesses based on their probability of growth. So, if you have a side business or you're just getting started, we'll give you a different grant than if you actually have a contract in hand and you need to hire people, buy equipment, buy
Fulfillment support. Right?
Exactly. So we do give grants, and we've found that in our most recent impact survey, those businesses that we supported told us that the majority of them said that we were the only ones that were able to give them their support in 2025. Other businesses, though, they have contracts, and even with a contract in hand, we found that they're not able to go into a bank and get a loan. And so we started a loan program specifically for that situation. You're a member of BECMA, we know you really well, you have a contract, and you still can't get access to adequate and affordable capital. And oftentimes, that leads to businesses either getting really expensive capital, turning down opportunities, and so
Stifling growth of that company because they
Absolutely.
can't take advantage of
Right.
those great opportunities that come in. John, I want to move over to you and talk about the same thing, because obviously Mass Convention Center Authority has a very large, multiple billion-dollar budget, and providing opportunities for companies around the state is one of your goals. Talk to us about how you guys have been able to increase inclusivity within the Mass Convention Center Authority.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And I think there are three different ways I think super important. One is supply diversity, right? And making sure the money we're spending in a more inclusive way, right? And so a big part of the Mass Convention Center's portfolio is that we manage large-scale facilities, right? And so we own the Thomas M. Menino Exhibition and Convention Center, the Heinz Center up the street, Springfield, MMC, the Boston Common Garage. And so as we repair, improve, maintain those properties, there are a lot of contracts that go out, making sure that we're partnering with BECMA to work with black-owned businesses so that they can have an opportunity at those contracts. So I'm really proud of the fact that right now we're touting about a 37% participation on construction. It's been driven by construction contracts. We're proud to be working with Russell, right? Now, but we've got to even expand and diversify the number of businesses we work with. I don't think it's just about the absolute dollar. It's all about participation and helping some of the smaller businesses grow. ServPro and others who were just awarded contracts. It's super important. That's one. The second is to make sure that people who are accessing the building look like us, right? And so these are very expensive facilities to get into.
That's right.
Right? And so, but we're excited to be hosting Colette next week and her event, and making sure that it's accessible, making sure that people can do business with us in that way on the front door. The third way we do it is, we've got 1.5 million people visiting the Commonwealth every year. And so sending them to our businesses, right? I'm seeing Jazz Urbane in the crowd today, right? Which is an amazing jazz cafe that's going to open in about a month, run by Bill Banfield. When people visit Massachusetts, I need to make sure that they understand that Jazz Urbane Cafe is in Nubian Square, and that they should be visiting and spending money in Nubian Square, spending money in Roxbury. So those are the three important ways that we can help move economic activity into our community.
Thank you for that. And in my last editorial last week, we talked about the Arts and Culture District in Nubian Square and how we look forward to the Jazz Urbane Cafe opening and how it is a catalyst and there are the Black Market, and there are other organizations and businesses that promote culture in that community.
That's right.
And how that can be a driver for business. Marvin, I want to come on over to you, and I want you to share some more of your knowledge with us about the 80s and 90s and how you took your one entertainment venue and continued to grow it to different types of businesses, to expand it to your real estate empire. And I am going to use the word empire because I took some notes. And it is quite a portfolio. So.
Well, I've listened to the TV this morning when the president of China says, one beautiful thing, partnership. Very key, and ownership. And we lack both. We lack partnership and we lack ownership. And that's been our problem. We do not trust each other.
Yes.
So can you repeat that again, please? Say it out loud now.
We do not trust each other.
And
It's difficult, even me,
even you?
even me,
Even you.
with the dollar. We don't put our money together. When I started Unity Bank and Trust in the 60s, I'm not going to give you $10, $5 per share. Why? You didn't trust Marvin. So why did another bank take the money? Until we got together.
You created your own bank.
Then they trust me then.
Right.
After the fact.
So when
Not
you didn't
before.
need their help, they trusted you.
That's right.
That's right. Because you proved that you could do it without
And
them.
that is the key. That's it here 100 years later.
85.
Why am I still here, still trying to convince people we should be together? And I sit here in Roxbury, I see you downtown Boston. Are we there? No. Why? We should be here. And the question is, we do not trust each other, nor do we put our money together.
Yeah.
And all the years I've been struggling to find an answer to that. Maybe one day somebody will come up with, yay, this is where you would do it. Investment, key to success. You got to be involved in investments in order to grow.
Yeah.
And I invest my mother used to say to me, son, spend one, save two.
Yes.
Yes.
Very key, very southern word she uses. And I did just that. And today, the Wealth Fund is still much alive. And all my other enterprises still much alive. But can I find but only a few people who still don't trust, and yet they look at success, but they're afraid to come as a partnership and an ownership with you. Why? Good question.
Well, I'm going to dive into that question. And I think that we, being a longtime media person and looking at the history of images, even we as black people suffer from the degrading images for multiple centuries that have been presented of us.
Correct.
And we as a people, as tragic as it is, suffer from the disbelief in our own abilities.
That's right.
And I sit up here with 4 perfect examples of why that is just so ridiculous. And we, me, myself, and Andre Stark, my co-owner of the banner, when we went out to raise money and purchase the banner
Yes.
for Mel Miller, its original founder, we went out of our way to solicit money from our community. And I'm happy to say that we were able to raise over $300,000 in small $25,000 investments to raise our capital. Then we also partnered with a group of CDFIs and Mill City, which is now Nectar, Dorchester Bay, and Leaf, which are great supports for local businesses who want to grow of all types. So I think that we have identified, Marvin, I know that I talked with you, Carlette, about it as well, a serious challenge that we have to trust ourselves. And I'm happy that the community trusted Andre and I to support our purchase of the banner. And I know that the community in some ways have supported you over the time, Carlette,
Yes.
but not as much now. I want to talk to you, Nicole, about BECMA, because your large consortium of black and brown-owned businesses seem to work very well together. So what are some of the things that you found over the past 10 years or since your tenure there that has helped to get people to be more trusting of each other and working together?
Sure. At BECMA, I would say that a big part of building trust within our own community is all the convenings that we have. So whether it's Get Connected or the events that BECMA does, the more that people actually get
To know each
opportunities to be together, to learn. Even if you're competing with somebody, I always encourage our business, our entrepreneurs to get to know each other. Also, I happen to believe that because most of black-owned businesses in the Commonwealth are very small, even micro businesses, that we actually encourage them to partner quite a bit. So maybe you form a new entity together, and that happens very infrequently, but you can at least bid together. And so some people get that and go for it, and we've had some great successes there. Others don't really understand why would you do that, or you're my competitor, and they struggle with it. But I sort of work with the coalition of the willing. So
Yeah.
those that want to grow. Just the reality is that they're often just too small to really take on the lucrative contacts that they'd be interested in alone. And so we do encourage that. We'll hire the lawyers for you. We will do all that we can to support it, but the entrepreneurs themselves have to be willing to take that step forward.
John, thank you. Thank you for that, Nicole.
Oh, can I say one more thing?
Of course, of course.
And one of the other things that we do is while we like to share a lot about what we're doing to support the businesses, we also say to them, if you don't have a lawyer, an accountant, a marketer, we'll hire them for you. And we hire black and brown people to provide those goods and services. And so there we're helping to circulate dollars, but it also establishes relationships. And now so many of those providers have now strengthened their bond in the community through the connections that were made.
And as those companies grow and those relationships continue, once you guys have started it and that company becomes more successful, they're now able to hire that person directly
Right.
without your support because of the prosperity that their company has had.
And just word of mouth, it's just like, hey, I had a great experience with this accountant, and that's how we're seeing the trust being built and the connections being made.
That is a great example.
Yep.
John, do you see have you guys opened up your procurement to try to make it a little bit easier for smaller companies to partner together? Are you receptive to this kind of merger of small companies to
Absolutely.
to apply for a larger? Talk to us a little bit
And
about
absolutely, and in fact, most contracts where we have participation is through partnership, right? And so we end up not being. It's nice to have a Colette Phillips who's 40 years in this, so she can be the prime contract, right? So she can hold that. Not everybody can do that, right? And so you have to create the opportunity for emergence and growth in our companies through partnerships. Now, partnerships aren't easy. Now, you know, Mr. Gilmore speaks with a lot of wisdom here, right? And if we were to ask him how many times he's been burnt, right, he have some stories, right? And so sometimes we have to be resilient, right? We have to show that we believe in ourselves, and it's hard because the narrative tells us different,
Very important.
right? And so you have to show. So when Colette and I partnered on that $2 million contract, it's not just because she was black, it's because she was good.
She was
Right? She
qualified.
was good. And the product, go check it out for yourself. The All-Inclusive Boston marketing campaign is an amazing campaign. And it's still being used today.
And that was implemented, was it 10 years?
No, 5 years
Oh,
ago.
5 years ago?
5
Yes,
years
it
right?
was
Yeah.
during the pandemic.
It was during the pandemic. It was during the pandemic.
That contract helped to solidify my company because some of my clients paused their accounts because of
Right.
the
Because
pandemic.
business paused
That's right.
overall.
That's right.
because of
But she delivered. She delivered. Now, we can probably each tell stories, though, of when we've trusted
Or
and maybe have gotten burnt.
Yes.
Right? And so we have to be a resilient people, as we've always been, and believe in ourselves, and then help put ourselves in positions to win. And that's where BECMA comes in and is incredibly important. BECMA helps to support businesses so that they can, in fact, have the capacity to partner. And look, being in the real estate business, and I've done real estate deals. This is a place where we get burnt often. Now I'm gonna, he just perked up, right? Mr. Gilmore just perked up, and so, but we all know real estate deals have to be done through partnerships. In some shape or another, either on the capital side, on the development side, on the brokerage side. There are a lot of players, and sometimes those relationships don't go so well.
Yeah.
So you got to come back at it, right, and redo it. It's the same on the supplier side at the MCCA. I need to make sure I've got partners standing aside us that are going to help build capacity and create partnerships, so in fact that they can be successful in the services that we're trying to procure, in the construction that we're trying to procure, so that we can do it again and again.
And again.
Can I
wonderful.
share a quick story about something that
Then I want to come over to
PK
Colette, but
on?
yes, go ahead.
So the convention center had a diverse business that they wanted to work with, but in order to do this, is before you started, John, but speaks to the spirit of really looking for innovative opportunities and solutions. This provider would have needed to increase their insurance by 5 figures. They already had insurance. They needed to increase it to then be eligible for an opportunity.
They had to be licensed and bonded at a level, that the insurance level, that they
Right.
were nowhere near.
And
Which is a huge hurdle for folks working
Which
with
is
the
a
MCCA.
huge
Because you can't come in if you're not
That's right.
qualified.
Right.
That's right.
But there was no, of course, there can't be no guarantee that you're actually going to get
The contract.
Right. That's
So
right.
we, working with a previous interim director, we explored and found out that the convention center at the time was able to extend its coverage. So they're not taking on any more risk as an authority, which would be irresponsible, but at the same time, they were able to give that business
Opportunity.
an opportunity without it costing them 5 figures in order to take that on. So those are things that, it's the legacy of the organization that John's working with, and I see that work and that creativity can continue.
Then that is a great tool to use to help businesses grow. So thank you for that story. Colette, I want to come over to you because you are a master at partnerships.
Yes.
So and we all know that not all partnerships work.
True.
And business partnerships, I like to say, are like a marriage. And, marriages can be challenging, so business partnerships can be challenging. I'm very blessed, wonderful wife, wonderful life. Say that out loud.
Claim it.
Say that out loud. Well, love you, Lisa. Wonderful family. But when you look at business partnerships, and my business partner, Andre Stark, there are always challenges to getting things to grow, to getting things right, and to making a cohesive partnership. So share with us some of the tools and skills that you've learned over the years and how you vet your partners.
Good point. I would say that both John and Nicole spoke about partnership, and so did Mr. Gilmore. We also have to think about that within the context of allyship. And allyship means white partners who are willing to partner with black and other businesses of color. And I'll give you some really successful examples. Gloria Larson was the interim executive director before John. She was the one who created the partnership with BECMA. She was the one who brought in Herbie Duvernay from Windwalker to do security, and also Rose Sterham. And that would not have happened without Gloria. And now John has a platform and a foundation that he can build on. So allyship and partnership works well together. The other thing that I would say with a partner relationship, sometimes it's like a marriage. You get engaged before you really walk down the aisle, because you need to figure out, are your values the same? Do you work collaboratively together? Is this a partner that's going to have respect for you? Because I have had incidents where I have had companies put my name on their proposal, get the contract, and I never hear from them again. So you have to be very careful and intentional about who your partners are going to be. I think another successful partnership that has worked is John Davis and Richard Taylor with the Omni Seaport, putting together a group of black investors to build the first ever partnership hotel in one of the fastest growing districts.
In our Seaport
in the
district here
Seaport.
in Boston, yes.
And knowing that relationship came from building trust. Trust is very important. And one of the reasons I would say that I created Get Connected, which is a networking opportunity, because people do business with people they know, people they like, and most importantly, people they trust. You can like somebody, you can have fun with that person, but you don't trust them. And if you don't trust them, you cannot have a healthy relationship. So I will say with partnerships, I have gone into small things first, see how we work together, and then we can go after bigger contracts. And then to be very clear in the definition of who's doing what, so that you're not bumping heads. You know what your lane is, what is the expectation, what are the deliverables, and then there is clear demarcation. You are doing this, I'm doing this, and then we come back together. And you have to stay connected. You can't just go off and, you're both working at different purposes. Yes.
Yes.
So it's important. It's like you and Andre, who are the purchasers, the owners, the publishers of the Bay State Banner. He is the COO, you're the president and publisher. So he knows what his job is, and that's to make sure the dollars come in the door. And you know what your job is, which is around editorial and keeping the editorial cover, and then you both get together and talk about it. That's how partnership works. And I'm going to say, as much as he talked about the partnerships, one of the things that I admire about Marvin is he always go first for his black investors. He did that with his cannabis business. And this was a business that a lot of people were getting into. And he said, why not black investors being able to make money on cannabis? And so he brought a number of people into his business as his partners. So I want to applaud allyship. I want to applaud partnership, because I think that is the way that we can grow. And thank you, Nicole, for mentioning that small companies can join forces together. And really, I always say to younger businesses that I'm coaching or advising, 50% of 500,000 is much better than 100% of 50,000.
There you go.
Make it make
Yeah.
sense.
Yep. It's always better to partner and get a larger contract than to stay alone.
Exactly.
One
and
other
small.
word, leadership. Where do you find the leadership? Do you find it in the sports? They make a lot of money. Where do you find the leadership? One that you can look up to and understand what you're trying to put together, as she mentioned.
Yeah.
So these are key issues I think we need to look at very strongly. Without that, you have nothing. You need a strong leader.
Leadership, yes. Well, all of you are very strong leaders in our
And
community.
respect.
Yes,
That's
yes,
right.
and well respected. Marvin, I wanted you to share with us, because your success is so prolific. How do you pick your partners? Colette shared with us some of her tools for success and how she goes. What? Not that they're different, but share with us some of the
do
tools
you
or some of the
pick?
stories, some of the positives. You can share some of the bad ones too, but share some of
Well, it's like marriage. How do you pick a woman you get married to? All right, you have to find somebody out there trying to do the same thing
the same set of goals.
that you respect. and
That's right.
understand. When I started the bank, I looked around, got 20 men in the community.
So you were able to bring $20 million towards all from the community.
Right.
And now this was in early 80s, correct?
Well, we are afraid of hard work. No matter what, success only obtained by hard work.
Well, there's many folks who do work hard, though, Marvin, and still don't have that success. So I think that we also have to be aware of the challenges and the
Barriers,
obstacles
yes.
that are out there that aren't necessarily of their own doing. But you bring up some really great points about partnership, about evaluating, making sure that everybody's on the same page, heading the same place, the same set of goals, and that's really important. And I don't want to cut you off.
Now, this forum began, I think, opening that mindset where we should go. If we are listening carefully, it will happen. If we're not, it will never happen.
Yeah. Well,
I want to add
Sure.
something. I was going to say that this month marks the sixth year
The sixth year.
of George Floyd's murder. 6 years ago, many corporations came out that they were going to do this, do that, to really begin to dismantle those structural and systemic racism and barriers. Today, 2026, many of those companies have retreated. And John mentioned something about the importance of procurement. I really want to know, where are those companies? Why have they retreated, as if somehow black-owned businesses and minority-owned businesses no longer exist? And I can tell you, I have seen the retreat and how it has impacted black-owned businesses and minority-owned businesses. So I am thrilled that MCCA is still holding the fort. And, you know, I have to call out people like Bob Rivers at Eastern Bank, people who are willing to stand in the breach. And we need to have people like that understand that a rising tide truly lifts all boats. And as Black people, I will say we need to spend our money where we are supported. We saw the impact of Black-owned businesses being supported by Black people when Target decided they were going to dismantle their DEI and their vendors, their Black, specifically Black vendors. Black people and allies said, we are not shopping. They lost $12 billion in 1 month. That is the power of Black purchasing ability.
You know, if I can, Ron, I think this is a really important topic, right? Because, you know, in many ways, we can transact with each other, but we also need to understand the greater climate and policy trends around us, right? We can't, which is obviously why this panel is important.
Yes.
Right? We have to be public about it. We have to talk about it. In the same way that DEI efforts are being dismantled, we need to push back and say, no, this is it's an important policy trend for all of America. What is good for Black America works for America because we are an important part of our economy. We're important players in society. And so that conversation needs to be happening while we are losing ground. Push back and make sure that we can regain some ground. Because Target, you know, we need to tell that story. You need to tell that story in a way that other corporations understand the power of purchase and commerce from the Black community, right? And so I think the transactions are important. Let's tell those stories. The policy trends are critical to make sure that we can still play and still be a part of this. Procurement doesn't happen but for the fact that we can create the lines, the lanes for legal procurement through participation. And when I first got to City Hall, you know, I was told we didn't have legal lanes. So we had to push on a disparity study, right? That disparity study laid the groundwork for legal participation.
And for
that contract, and for that contract, right? And so policy matters, policy trends matter. What we're saying openly matters, and we've got to be very conscious and intentional about that kind of campaigning.
Definitely. We at the Banner did feel the crunch of the anti-DEI movement that happened since. Yes, it was a substantial crunch. And what we did to try to address the lot of the 20 or 25% of revenue that dropped drastically all of a sudden was that, again, we turned to our Black community and to our allies and said, listen, we need more support from you to keep this quality journalism alive. And I'm happy to say that in many cases, they have supported us.
That's great.
Nicole, I want to turn to you and talk to you about some of the allies that have been successful in supporting BECMA and allow you the opportunity to kind of share some of those success stories and how and who is partnered with BECMA to help make a big difference.
You know, the allies that have been supportive of us, some of them have come willingly, and others have
been encouraged.
Have been encouraged and been there, and then both of them are okay, because at the end of the day, we're really looking to make sure that we are including all of our businesses in being part of having the Massachusetts economy grow. So a big part of the work that we do at BECMA is around policy. We focus very much on inclusive procurement in particular. We ended up suing the city of Boston after that disparity study because we weren't seeing the result of the study, which was, it was the data that helped us to say, wow, less than half the 1% of spend is going to Black businesses in the community. We want to do something about that. So, it's a multi-front effort. Policy is very important to get the rules on the books, making sure that the rules that are there are being enforced is a very important thing. And at the same time, you want to encourage those that understand that Massachusetts will never reach its full potential
Yes.
until it gets better at being more inclusive in its procurement. The Massachusetts Taxpayers Foundation had a study that said, as Massachusetts closes our racial wealth gap, we'll grow the economy by $25 billion in 5 years.
Yes.
So I think that this is an economic matter as much as it is a justice issue, and that honestly, I feel that business leadership and governmental leaders really are missing out unless they're embracing this notion. I want to add something a little bit different, though, is that in this moment, besides dealing with DEI backlash, dealing with an economy that is out of sorts because of all the uncertainty around inflation, dealing with immigration raids, that is all very disruptive to all business, and particularly for our smallest and most vulnerable businesses. And then we have the advent of AI. And what is AI doing, and what's the threat portion and what's the opportunity portion? So there's a lot going on in this moment for our Black business community. And so great risk and great opportunity.
Well, since you brought it up, let's talk a little bit about AI and the positive things that you see that it can bring businesses. And I'll give everybody a chance to answer that question. But since you brought it up, Nicole, what are some of the positives? I have some positive and negative feelings about it, but what are the
Definitely. I mean, I think it is a leapfrog opportunity for our smallest businesses. We've been focused for the last couple of years on getting our businesses to adopt AI to help them with their procurement. So what used to be a very onerous process to do an RFP just got a whole lot simpler. So I love that. We also focus on it for marketing, and then our small businesses don't have the resources to have an operations lead oftentimes, and AI is very helpful for you to figure out, your small team, where can you optimize them? And so we're really excited about AI from that perspective. But we also realize that there's a huge displacement that is happening. It's not going to happen. It's
that is
currently
going to
happening.
happen? Yeah, that is.
Yeah, and so for our businesses that are in a displacement likely industry, we have to start pivoting them now, I think. So it's really interesting, but I see it more as an opportunity than a threat. And the faster we can get our businesses to adopt it, I think it's an advantage.
So it is a tool that can be utilized to help grow and strengthen businesses if it's
Absolutely.
plugged in the right way. John, how do you guys use it at MCCA? Or do you use it?
Well, we haven't really, we continue to explore AI as a tool. It is clear that AI allows businesses to be more efficient on the administrative side, right?
Yes.
So whether you're putting together a proposal, whether you're putting together some marketing even, or some summary of something, AI is extremely productive. It's been productive also in sort of analysis, right? We've got huge data sets that we work with at the MCCA, and so when you're analyzing those data sets, AI allows you to pull out trends and some other things. And so AI is here, right? And so I want to echo something that Nicole just said. Businesses need to do analysis on how they can use AI to improve their business outputs, but also an analysis on their sector. What is happening in your business sector, and how can you either be on the cutting edge or realize that you might be about to fall off the edge, right? Because that sector is changing.
Right, the sector's changing. Are you utilizing the tools that you need to allow
Are
your
your
company?
services about to be obsolete?
Yep.
Because AI programs, products, platforms can produce those outcomes better, cheaper than you can. And that's a real question for businesses.
Yeah.
Very true.
Yeah, I wanna come
I
over
would
here.
say yes, that AI, we have a platform called Asana that we use in our business so that everybody knows what we are each doing, whether it's a project management, AI-driven platform. We also have Fixer. I have Fixer because I get so many emails, and what Fixer does it starts to draft your responses.
Oh, I like that. I need that. Look at that one.
And then you can go in and, make the adjustments to that, so you don't have to sit and just do all of this. So you're really right. Even in the PR field, I use AI to say, okay, give me the best reporters or editors for this particular subject matter or this particular field, and it will just spit out the name of the reporter. Even though we have Cision, it will be very precise on who you need to reach out to. So yes, it can be helpful, but I worry also about young people who might want to be, go into work, and maybe this is an opportunity for them to become their own entrepreneurs and leveraging AI to grow their own businesses. So as Nicole so wisely and brilliantly said, it's a stage of opportunity and also peril, but let's look at the opportunity side.
That's right.
And avoid the peril. And Marvin, do you, Mr. Gilmore, excuse me, do you?
Well, I'm going to take you a step backwards.
Okay.
South, blacks in business, and the North, black and non-business. Why is the reason? Question. Have we been down to see why the Southern black business people are so successful and the Northern black not as successful? What's the problem?
What is your observation of that? Why do you think that in many cases Southern black
We haven't
businesses?
learned to work together.
Okay, so that brings us back to your earlier point that
Exactly.
down south you
But
see a trend.
Look at the basic that makes us successful and stop dilly-dallying around, ABC, and really hit and here in Boston, Cambridge, Brookline, name it all, we are not there.
That's right.
Why? These are very basic questions.
And the solution is working together.
That's-
The solution is finding partnerships that work.
I think
And that's what will make the
this
difference in your.
forum should be one that we address ourselves to. So important.
Yeah.
Can I just add
Of course.
something else to what Marvin said? There is also something else that people can do, corporations in particular. Wayne Budd did this when he was the general counsel of John Hancock. He said to his primary law firm, from you, one of the things we are going to judge you on, and whether we renew our contract with you, is you have to live up to our values, and our values is about inclusion and procurement. So we want you to basically farm out to minority-owned firms a percentage of the dollars we are spending with you. And I think that is one of the ways that corporations can continue to ensure. I don't care what the Trump administration says, because what they're doing is breaking the law, because
many
there are
cases, yeah.
very specific things. So companies who have the courage and the conviction and the belief in equity can continue to demand that in order for their vendors to continue to do business with them, they have to come to the table with partners.
And partners that reflect
And
the
partners
values
that reflect
of
the
their
values of,
leadership.
exactly.
Definitely.
Exactly.
Definitely. So, Nicole, let's talk a little bit about partnership. I know we talked about it before. When you encourage the companies to partner together, what have been the most prosperous partnerships from what have been the elements that have made those partnerships prosperous? Let me change the question. What do you think have been the tools that have helped them to come together in a way that's productive?
I would say that partnerships, to Mr. Gilmore's point, start with leadership being bought in, but when leadership follows through and it goes all the way to middle management and making sure that they're also bought in, that there's accountability around the edict that we're going to be doing anything, whether it's being inclusive or anything else, then that makes all the difference in the world. And so That's really what I look for as a good sign of whether this is going to be a productive partnership, is that do we have buy-in at
At the top.
both-
At the top.
At the top and at the implementation level.
Yes.
Got it. Great. Well, thank you so much. I want to thank all of you guys as our hour is rounding out. I want to give everybody a quick last statement or last thought about this wonderful topic. We can start with John, and we'll just work our way over it. Just a last comment or thought?
Yeah, no, I think the last comment or thought is to not do it alone, right? Find people who you can go with, right? And take the risk and be sustainable in trying to find the right partnership.
I love that. I would also say that small businesses are everywhere, and it's really important to make an effort to get to know them. It's easy to use your phone and order something, but get to know your local businesses. Their success will ultimately be your success.
All right.
Wonderful. Marvin, last thought?
Well, for trust.
Trust.
Trust. That's the key. In business, trust. So important. And leadership.
In leadership.
Look, the president of China this morning spoke
And you mentioned that partnership. That was the key.
partnership. Leadership, trust, partnership. Honesty it covers
All of those. All of those.
all of this.
Thank you, Marvin. I'm going to have to move on to
Yeah,
Colette.
well, I'm going to say that forums like this is really critical, and I want to thank the banner for bringing us all together, because the information shared here is powerful. And I want to just leave with, we have given a lot of takeaways, and if we used those, whether it's procurement and allyship and partnership, leadership and collaboration, and let's get connected.
There you go.
Right, okay.
I love it. Well, thank you. I love that tight plug. So I want to thank all of my guests for being here. Colette Phillips, the president and CEO and founder of Colette Phillips Communications and Get Connected. I want to thank Marvin Gilmore, the wonderful businessman and entrepreneur and civil rights activist. I want to thank Nicole Obi, president and CEO of BECMA, and of course, I want to thank John Barrows, interim director of the Mass Convention Center Authority. I want to thank all of you for being here today on GBH Amplifies. I also want to thank our wonderful audience here at the Newsfeed Cafe in the main branch of the Boston Public Library. I want to thank you guys for being here, a live audience. You guys can clap for yourselves. Yes, yes. Again, I would also like to thank GBH for demonstrating a commitment to serving their audience through fostering events and empowering communication through wonderful events like this, especially as we move towards the 250th anniversary and celebration of our nation. I also want to thank my wonderful staff at the Bay State Banner and Linda Val-Luce and the wonderful folks at Nia Media. I want to also thank the wonderful staff here at the Newsfeed Cafe and all of the members of the GBH team that helped us to put the program together. I also want to thank the wonderful folks at GBH's main office down in Brighton who support this wonderful program. I want to remind you that Bay State Banner is a local newspaper here in Massachusetts that supports Black, Brown, and allied communities, baystatebanner.com. I want to thank all of you for joining us here today. And a month from now, we'll be having a program right here again at the Newsfeed Cafe that celebrates the wonderful contributions that Black and Brown businesses have made to the past 250 years of our nation and beyond. So thank you for joining us, and have a good day.